Evening, Councillor Nye. We just finished. Cheers. A very good evening, members and members of the public online and in the public gallery. Order for business for full council on the 25th of February 2026. First of all, some housekeeping rules. There are no planned fire drills during this meeting. If you hear the fire alarm, please treat it as a real emergency and evacuate the building via the nearest safe escape route. The nearest escape route is via the stairs to your left as you leave the council chamber or public gallery. Exit via the door at the back of the building and walk across the inner car park to the evacuation point, which is the pavement opposite the police station. The lifts can't be used in the event of an emergency, and please do not re-enter the building until you've advised it's safe to do so by a member of staff. I would like to advise both members and members of the public and press, this meeting is being recorded and broadcast live. Mobile phones should be switched off unless they are being used for the meeting. Please only speak when I ask you to do so and speak clearly into the microphone. First item on the agenda then are apologies. I haven't actually received any. Do we have any further apologies? Councillor Gladwin and Councillor Redrup. Sorry, right.
I'm taking so here.
First of all, members, I would like to advise you all of the passing of former Isle of Wight councillor John Fleming. John had been a member for Shanklin Central 2001 to 2005, and during that time he served as an executive member for Tourism and Leisure. He sat on the Development Control Committee, Resources Select Committee, and was Vice Chairman of the Economic Development Planning, Tourism and Leisure Services Select Committee. He also served as a Shanklin Town Councillor for many years. Before we proceed any further, would any other councillors like to say a few words of reflection? Okay, thank you very much. We move to agenda item number 1, which is the minutes, to approve the minutes for full council meetings held on the 21st of January 2006. I'd like to propose approval of the minutes. Councillor Jones-Evans.
Just a correction, if I may, Chair. I wasn't actually here. I did give my apologies. But it says I'm here. I was present. I wasn't present. Thank you.
Duly noted, Councillor Jones-Evans, and that'll be corrected. So I'd like to approve the minutes and request a fellow councillor to second, please. Thank you, Councillor Brodie. Thank you. We just added that on, Councillor Jones-Evans. All those in favour, please. Please, please. Anyone against? Any abstentions? Thank you. I just need to sign this. Item number 2, declarations of interest. If any members wish to declare any interest stating the nature of the interest and the item on the agenda to which it relates or any agreed dispensation, members are reminded that simply being a council taxpayer is not an interest, pecuniary or otherwise, that requires a member to declare it at the meeting or otherwise interfere with their ability to participate in the budget debate. So any declarations, please? Councillor Brodie. Jeff.
Yes, excuse my croaky voice tonight, but I'm a member of the Isle of Wight Pension Fund, so I should declare an interest in relation to item 8. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brodie. Councillor Jordan.
Thank you, Chair. Just for clarity, I did ask for a dispensation and have been granted that in terms of social care that's contained within the budget. That's for clarity. I won't comment on it, but I've been granted dispensation to at least vote on the budget. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Fuller. Paul.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I will be declaring a non-prejudicial interest in the Adam Provis, who set up the stop further parking charges on the Isle of Wight Council. That's just reached 4,000 votes, 4,000 signatories. Is known to me. He is one of my electors.
Thank you, Paul. Councillor Jones-Evans.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm not sure if there's a general dispensation for this, but item 8, the pension fund. I'm a member of the Isle of Wight Council pension. Not drawing down as yet, obviously, but.
Thank you, Councillor Jones-Evans. Councillor Mosdell. Thank you. And you, Councillor Critchinson. Thank you. Oh, Michael, sorry.
My wife has a Isle of Wight pension.
Thank you, Councillor Lilly. Fantastic. Okay. We now move on to agenda item number 3, which is public questions. 2 questions have been received, one from a Miss Anderson and one from a Miss Roman. Miss Anderson, are you up there this evening? No? Okay. This is to Councillor Jordan, and on her behalf I shall read this out. We've just heard about the proposals to install paid parking at Fort Victoria. If that wasn't enough to kill every business down at Fort Victoria, and let's face it, we are beyond struggling, to hear that the toilets may be closed from October to March will literally be the nail in the coffin. We, the Imaginarium, are open all year round and work down at the fort even when we are not open. The cafe, by law, correct me if I'm wrong, has to have toilet facilities for their customers. Closing them literally means a forced closure of the business October to March. How is this possible? We're in the middle of a busy half-term holiday with visitors to all the businesses at Fort Victoria. Closure of the toilets during this time would mean none of us will be able to open and operate. Even if our customers don't use the toilet, they use the sinks to wash their hands. These actions, whilst I'm sure they appear as great money-saving ideas on paper, have a very different effect to real businesses and real lives, our lives. I take it, therefore, we will be getting a 5-month holiday on our rent and business rates then. With the ongoing death of tourism to the island, for reasons you well know, local islander trade was our only hope. It appears that now even this vague hope is being taken away from us. What more can the people of the island do to actually survive? I live our businesses and our family lives quietly, literally in your hands. That was a very passionate question. And the response comes from Councillor Jordan. Phil.
Sorry about that, Chair. But the reply to the question, I thought you read it out, is thank you for the views you provide. Before I give an answer to this, if I may, we are all aware that we are here for a budget process tonight, and part of the budget process is going to address some of the matters that the questions refer to. And I'm aware, and we are all aware, that there are amendments to the budget, and in some of those amendments, which may or may not be passed later, the actual issue that the question is about is being addressed. So if I'll answer the question in the context that this will be dealt with later this evening, some way or other. The answer is thank you for your views you've provided in respect of these particular budget proposals. Your comments are important and will be used to inform the committee's consideration of the budget proposals. As you are aware, in reflection of the current financial situation, officers have been asked to look at all areas of the council's activities in order to identify savings or additional income. That's the reply. It will be posted publicly on our website.
Thank you, Councillor Jordan. The next question is from Miss C. Not here. I have to say this is in exactly the same vein, and we're going to be discussing this on the agenda. Would you like to comment on that, Leader, ahead of that?
Thank you, Chair. I will respond, and the caveat of exactly what I just said prior to the answer, that we are discussing this later and addressing this matter. But the answer specifically is in reflection of the current financial situation. Officers have been asked to look at all areas of the council's activities in order to identify savings or additional income. To respond to the specific question about parking, some drivers may actively seek parking in alternative streets. However, given the convenience of parking outside the premises they may wish to visit in Union Street, experience tells us that the impact is likely to be minimal in those nearby streets, as they are already subject to limited waiting restrictions. That's either 1 hour, 2 hours, or 4 hours. This will continue to provide a turnover of spaces should motorists wish to park further away. Therefore, we are of the opinion that no further mitigation is considered to be necessary, Chair. Again, that will be published on our website after the meeting.
Thank you very much, Leader. Thank you. We move on to agenda item 4, announcements from the Chair of the Council, Leader of the Council, Head of Paid Service. So I'll nip in here first. Well, over the last few weeks, I've been out and about dodging the road closed signs. That's been challenging, and I haven't got a helicopter, but nonetheless still out and about. We had a citizenship ceremony right here in the chamber, and that was followed by the apprentice flag raising also in the chamber. Thanks to Councillor Jarman and Councillor Blake for attending that, along with Georgie and her wonderful team. There was also the Apprentice Open Day in County Hall in Room 5, which was incredibly well attended and supported once again. Thanks to the team for putting that together, and yes, the cake was exemplary. Finally, for engagements, I returned to my old primary school, which of course is Binstead, where I was grilled on climate change by youngsters in Year 4. They gave me 20-line letters, the majority of which accused me directly of causing said change, and it was a robust session, wonderfully articulate, fully clued in on the issue, and very encouraging to see such engagement from the youngsters. Great stuff. On a personal note, I'd like to say thanks to, we do a flag raising every year for the 999 and blue light services outside of County Hall. I had to call on their services 4 weeks ago, so a quick shout out to the NHS and ambulance service for getting to us very promptly and supporting the family. Greatly appreciated. And on that, I was reflecting earlier today that tonight is also for some the last time that we'll be here. Thank you. It's nice to have a bit of two-way. It's good. So get a bit heckled. And so everybody, I think, especially over the last year, which has been very testing for all, just to say thanks to everybody for getting us to where we are today. I would also like to say thank you and tip my hat to Councillor Brodie, who is one of the longest serving members of this council. He's bowing out after 21 years of service to the public and his community. Without his nomination, I would not be up here, and equally, nor would I have featured in the Daily Mail. Jeff, standing down, leaves a strong legacy of community-focused public service, and alongside his council work, has been a driving force in local grassroots support as a founder of Pan Together and a long-standing trustee and treasurer. Under Pan Together's growth, the charity has expanded vital help for local residents and was recognised nationally with the Queen's Award for Voluntary Service in 2022. With the organisation's community impact also highlighted through a royal visit in May 22. I'm sure members will join me in thanking him for 21 years of sterling service. And yeah, absolutely. No right to reply on this, Jeff. Procedure rules. And as this is our last gig up here too, I would like to thank the Vice Chair for her unwavering support and diligence in carrying out the role as Vice Chair. This role is challenging. It requires impartiality, and that on occasion has proved difficult for the pair of us at times. But Vanessa has displayed that impartiality with aplomb since appointed, and her input, tenacity, and wisdom has proved invaluable. When I'm not available there are a number of invites on the same date, she jumps at public engagement with vigour and energy, more so if it's catered. Just want to mention that. Councillor Churchman has upheld the office of chair with total discretion and integrity, and I would like to thank her sincerely for her contribution in the role. Thank you, Vanessa. In true to Ronnie's style, that's it from me tonight. And I don't know which one of us is Ronnie Barker or Ronnie Corbett. Right, okay, I'm Barker. Fine, got it. So I'll hand over to Phil for the leaders' report. And thank you, members.
Chair, I thank you for that, those comments. I forgot, of course, this is our last meeting, and it's been a journey, hasn't it, for all of us over the 4 years. Some extraordinary changes to our council, to our community, for us to have weathered through ups and downs, and some nice times and some more difficult times. But it's been a journey nonetheless. Let me move to devolution, and thank you for your attention. Previously, as you know, I won't labour this, but we agreed to join the devolution priority programme. We agreed that at this full council, move forward, and behind the scenes since that, our officers across the region have worked hard to get us to a position where the combined authority is effectively ready to operate from May this year. What has happened since our last decision on this is that the mayoral elections, as we now know, were postponed. And what that has required is that at the time the mayor was starting in May this year, 2026, and therefore the statutory instrument that was being laid, the legislation, corresponded to that set of circumstances, the combined authority with a mayor. Because of the postponement of the elections until 2028, the mayor won't be in place. But it is the intention, and always was, that the combined authority would operate from May this year with the 4 constituent authorities as would have been with the mayor. The only difference is there won't be a mayor. In legislative terms, that required rewriting slightly the statutory instrument. And tonight, that rewrite of that instrument is coming before you, and to give our chief exec, as we did the first time around, the opportunity to sign that off. That is happening across the region with our 3 partner authorities. And last night, the night before, Southampton agreed that. Tomorrow is Hampshire, and on Friday is Hampshire full council or cabinet. It's one way or the other. It's cabinet first and full council, and Portsmouth to follow. And they will in turn decide to allow their chief execs, the 4 chief execs, to finally sign the statutory instrument that has been slightly amended. So the slight amendments are this, they're in our papers, but essentially are this. For 2 years, starting from May this year until May 28, when the mayor is elected and in place, the funding will be 40% of the 44.6 million, so about 18 million for 2 years. That's the bad news. The good news is that government have added on the 30 years. So instead of now 30 years of funding, we will get 30 years of 44.6 million, but we'll also get an additional 2 years of about 18 million across the region. So it's extended to 32 years. What has come with that? There are 2 areas that have been awarded 50%. We've had long discussions with government about this, and the outcome of that was that the 2 areas are getting 50% and nothing more. We are getting 40%. and increased capacity funding, which is going from around 5 million to 9 million. So an increase of about 4 million in capacity funding. And we are being offered and will accept a strategic partnership with Homes England, usually reserved only for combined authorities with mayors. So there are some pluses in being able to operate without the mayor. And the final thing that the four leaders insisted upon and have been agreed by MHCLG is that any decisions over the 2 years must be unanimous of the four leaders or the four representatives of the four authorities. So there'll be no majority vote, no one or two other areas voting against the Isle of Wight. It will require all four authorities to agree the investments that are made. The combined authority will be ready to operate from May. And indeed, that combined authority has already recruited a chief executive. Is in post. That chief executive is visiting some councils or all councils. I'm not quite sure. I think it's in the diaries, maybe group leaders, but that's happening in the coming weeks. And that's it. There are three recommendations. I'll read them. That for A is first recommendation is the full council notes the summary of the draft statutory instrument set out in Appendix 3 and approves the establishment of the Hampshire and Solent Mayoral Combined Authority, consenting to the statutory instrument. That is for noting. And that further, that full council notes the table of the summary of the changes to the powers and duties set out in Appendix 4. And finally, that full council gives delegated authority to the chief exec after consultation with group leaders, the final form of any draft parliamentary order, that's the statutory instrument, that the government wishes to lay before Parliament to create a new mayoral combined authority. And I seek a seconder for that. Thank you, Andrew.
Councillor Garrett, thank you. Do you wish to speak now or was it? Okay, members, we'll open it up to the floor and as leaders' reports go, that was a whopper. We jumped there, didn't we? But there we go. It's on the floor. It's open for discussion. Members, please. Oh, Peter, Councillor Spink, please.
I would like to suggest and propose that it would be wrong to, given that we are having elections now in May, and the new regime, as it were, of devolution won't come in until May, I think it would be wrong of this council to take a decision for what may well be a significantly changed administration and councillors. Now, it is an option. It's at page 20. It's an option which appears to have been rejected, but I don't know who's rejected it. We haven't had a say on it yet. So it's page 20, paragraph 31. Another option would be to continue on the priority programme, but on a slower timeline, waiting until after the elections in May to determine whether a delegated consent for the new SI could be sought at that time in the summer of 2026. And then page 32, a delay such as this is not recommended because it risks making our region a less attractive proposition for government, putting Hampshire and Solent on a slower timeline than 4 of the 5 other DPP regions. I mean, the delay, what are we talking about? 6 weeks? No, it's not a significant delay. And if you were standing in the election, some of you will be, some of you won't be. But if you were standing in the elections and you knew that this council had voted for what is perhaps one of the most important votes that we make and tied their hands for the sake of 6 weeks, I think people might think it's rather poor, not very good democracy. So I would, I'm not sure how I need to do it, frankly, but I would seek either an amendment or a further proposal that we don't accept the recommendation, but we have a vote on the proposal of alternative options 31, alternative option 31, at page 20. So in other words, that it's delayed, the vote is given to the new administration as per the elections in May, rather than dictate to the new administration what their future will be.
Councillor Spink, I'm just going to refer to the MO on this because he tells me this would negate the motion that's currently on the floor. Chris, please.
Thank you, Chair. The report is quite clear in terms of the recommendation which has been adopted as a motion. Members have previously decided the position regarding devolution itself. There is a sort of timescale within which councils are expected to respond to the government's request in terms of the SI, etc. So my advice to members is you have a motion which has been proposed and seconded. Obviously, I take on board Councillor Spink's sort of view, but that wouldn't be an acceptable, valid amendment to the motion, in my view.
Chair, may I just ask a question following on from that? My amendment.
Councillor Spink, no, we're going to have to move on from that. The MO is given advice, and I'm going to go to Councillor Stevens.
I would just like to make a point and ask.
Well, you can ask the point directly to the MO, either off means, but we're going to move forward with that. Councillor Stevens.
Thank you, Chairman. I totally disagree with what Councillor Spink has said. We've gone down this journey. We've had informal meetings and briefings on it, and the majority of this chamber, if not all in this chamber, are well versed in the pathway we're going down. I think if we waited 6 weeks, we'd have to wait 6 months or thereabouts for any new members to get on track and get the knowledge to be able to make a decision, which fellow members here tonight can quite easily avail themselves to because they have the knowledge. I consider that we continue along the pathway as per the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Councillor Stewart. Nick.
Thank you, Chair. I understand some of the reasoning behind it, but I think it's a mistake. We are elected to plan for the future of this council and the island, and this is what this does. There has been an enormous amount of work being put in by a lot of people. The facts have been laid out by the leader. That we actually have in the combined authority a unanimous approach is extremely welcome. I can see no reason why we should not simply proceed along the lines that we've already agreed as fast as we can to make sure the island benefits as much as it should.
Right, thank you, Councillor Stewart. Councillor Mosdell. Claire.
I think we need a bit of a reality check with this, don't we? I think we should be all grateful at the moment that they actually want us. We are a cash-strapped council that might not be here in a year's time. So come on, let's just move forward, be grateful for devolution. If I were the other council, I'd tell us to go do one. You know, we haven't got any money. We're lucky we're surviving. And we've now got an equal vote on stuff. Let's just crack on with it.
Excellent. Councillor Jones-Evans, please.
Thank you. I thought it was going to be a straightforward vote this evening just to move forward, but listening to Councillor Spink, maybe not. So I feel I must say something. Devolution is happening. The only way devolution isn't going to happen is there's a change of government, and we haven't had a devolved authority by that time. You know, we are completely devoid of investment at the minute. Notwithstanding rides, pride of place money, and some private investment, but we're in a really, really terrible situation. We all know that. I don't have to spell it out to anyone in this chamber today. And without, you know, getting any UK share prosperity funding, without even having enough money to balance our books, and the government not acknowledging our extra costs as an island, we don't have any choice, and I really don't think we have a choice. And right now, here, we are elected members of this council, and we are here to do the best for the Isle of Wight. So right now, here is the time we have to be, as Claire said, just be brave and just crack on.
Thank you, Councillor Jones-Evans. Councillor Jarman. Chris.
Thank you, Chair.
It is an important decision this evening. And we are not the only one of those four bodies who are in financial difficulty, far from it. I would, though, ask advice from the monitoring officer in terms of what the regulations are about binding the position of a future administration, given that although we're not in the pre-election period, we are so close to that. Thank you.
Thank you, members. I was going to start, but I didn't feel I needed to because the room over the last few months was in really good order. But tonight was a kick-off. We begin business. I'd like to briefly acknowledge the work that's been done recently by group leaders and the non-aligned in the spirit of the Penn report, with the tone and conduct in meetings greatly improved. And the pre-meeting conversations have helped keep formal meetings focused and running smoothly. Let's keep it like that tonight. Let's just keep it down. It's the last one. And let's deliver for the public. That's what we're here for. So moving on, Councillor Robertson, Joe.
Thank you, Chair. It's slightly remarkable. The original offer was a combined mayoral authority this year with a directly elected mayor and a sum of money. The council voted for it, not unanimously. I didn't. What we're now being offered is only 40% of the money, no elections, so not that direct democratic accountability over it, and we should just accept it anyway. There is no guarantee there'll be mayoral elections in 2028, so the democracy that sits around it is not guaranteed. There's no guarantee it will be that 100% money that we agreed to in the first place, that it won't be the 40% in perpetuity. And it's somewhat remarkable that the government has enough money to give to this non-democratically elected body, but not enough money to maintain the funding of the Isle of Wight Council, which we're about to vote on later today. I think we should show strength with the government. When people have shown strength, they've tended to change their mind and done a U-turn. And I think this council should be prepared to say, no, we don't agree to only 40% of the money with no democratic elections that you promised for a mayor. That's my view.
Thank you very much, Councillor Robertson. There is Councillor Garrett to sum up. Mr. Ward would like to speak. Are there any other members that would like to comment on this? Councillor Bacon, Jonathan.
I would just like to underline, repeat everything Councillor Mosdale has said, basically, which I think has hit the nail on the head several times. And for those who are thinking it's a good idea to delay things, I hope they've read paragraph 33 in the report. Doing that, if it does nothing else, would lose us 24 million of funding in relation to adult social care. If you really want to do that, fine. Shows an attitude, I think.
Thank you, Councillor Bacon. Before Councillor Garrett, Mr. Ward, you've indicated you would like to speak. Chris.
Thank you, Chair. I don't often ask to address the council, but this is a really significant financial matter, not just for the Isle of Wight Council, but for the whole region. In the event that there's delay to a decision, the likelihood is that the £44.6 million investment pot for 32 years will be lost. It will push the Isle of Wight, it will push any devolution arrangement away from a strategic authority into probably a foundation authority, and there is no investment pot associated with those types of strategic authorities that come at a later stage. It's hugely enormous for the region, and it's an enormous amount of financial investment that would come to this council for, amongst other things, housing has already been explained with the strategic partnership with Homes England and other infrastructure around the island. It is really an important decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Councillor Garrett, Andrew.
Chair, I can't add any more to what Councillor Bacon said about paragraph 33 and the risks in there, and particularly to what our section 151 officer has set out to the risks. It is a great opportunity. Councillor Mosdale is absolutely right. Let's grasp it. Let's crack on.
Thank you very much, Councillor Garrett. With that, we move to the vote. All those in favour, please show. Those against? And any abstentions? Thank you, members. Right, members, we now move to the budget. This is a most significant decision and it affects every household and every service. It must be decided transparently, and when we come to the vote, it will be a named vote in alphabetical order in accordance with procedural rule 19 as defined in our constitution. Because of the importance of this decision, I will reference the Penn review. Penn warned against situations becoming an unfair expectation of one councillor acting alone, and in that spirit, I ask members once again, make your case clearly, respect the process, but bear in mind this is a collective responsibility of the chamber. Now, I've had a brief overview of the amendments, and it seems to me they are broadly in accord. The group leaders have made an indication that along with the two MPs, they would like to adjourn briefly for a 5 to 10 minute conversation to see if something cannot be put together by them. So if we are happy with that, and I would hope that we are, we will adjourn for 5 minutes to 10 minutes to get the group leaders together with the two MPs and see what we can achieve. A little bit longer? How long do you think you need, leaders? 15 minutes? Shut up, 2 weeks. Who said that? I'm not having heckling tonight, but is that you, Quiggers? Yeah. 15 minutes. Okay, they wish to adjourn for half an hour. So group leaders and the two MPs that have approached earlier, please go and take your time with that. Thank you.
Chair, what about non-aligned?
It was the group leaders and the two MPs. I don't think it makes any difference, but Councillor Love, if you wish to join them, you are welcome to, as are you, Councillor Adams. Okay, so we'll adjourn for half an hour.
Chair, if I may point out, the reason it was group leaders was that they're the ones that have put amendments in. So it's then coming to an agreement of how they wish to present their amendments. It isn't a case of a PFR 2.0. It's more a case of the amendments coming together potentially by the authors. And that's the reason for that. The addition of the MPs, because they have had direct, regardless of the fact they are councillors, they have had direct communications with the government and may be able to give us some information that we're not privy to add to that discussion. I say that's the reason for the group leaders, because we are the authors of this report.
Okay, group leaders, are we happy with that? Okay, thank you. Group leaders and the two MPs then adjourn for 30 minutes. Thank you, members. Welcome back. But for those that have been online, it's like Back to the Future, I suppose. It's been like the biggest adjournment ever. Right, this is a novel situation, but I believe we have reached a amicable solution, which is fantastic with the group leaders. And I will hand over to Councillor Jordan, who's speaking in his role as chair of the PFR committee to present the budget. Councillor Jordan.
Thank you, Chair.
Point of order. Is there a copy of this proposed amendment for us to see?
I believe they're being written up, aren't they?
Can we have that in advance, please? I need something to consider and time to consider it.
What it is, Councillor Brodie, if we listen to Councillor Jordan, he'll explain how the three amendments are being consolidated.
No, that's not good enough. I need to see the budget in writing as a requirement as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
I need to be able to consider it and evaluate it in relation to my residents. There should also be an assessment in writing by the Section 151 officer. I haven't seen that. When will we get that? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brodie. I'm going to refer to Mr Potter on this. Oh, Councillor Blake, sorry.
Chair, if it helps, the agreed accumulated amendment is the wording of the Conservative group amendment plus an alteration that the leader is going to say that will be succinct enough that everyone will be able to understand in entirety to its nature.
Point of order. That doesn't help. That's not acceptable. I want it in writing. You're required to provide it in writing.
Councillor Brodie, you're absolutely correct. No, you're correct. Thank you. Let's get it written up properly, please, and distributed to members. So
I've called a point of order.
What?
It also needs to be ratified, whatever the changes are, by the 151 officer, is it not?
Absolutely, Carl.
In writing, please.
And it has been. So we will get it in writing. So we do have to adjourn for a couple of minutes while that is written up.
I've got one more quick question. So apparently this is all agreed. So why the hell am I still sat here?
It's not agreed, Councillor Mossel. We have to put it to the Councillor Jordan has to present it. Councillor Brodie has rightly requested it in writing, so it has to be provided in writing to Councillor
Cool,
Brodie.
but you've got the votes. You've all agreed it behind the scenes, so I could just go home, couldn't I?
Chair, a second point of order, please.
Councillor Brodie, members, we are going to adjourn. We're going to get it in the single form, which is actually what I asked you from the outset. Single form, written, distributed, and then we'll go from there. So we are going to adjourn for another 5.
Chair,
Sorry.
To save time possibly after that adjournment, can I also ask in writing, please, from the monitoring officer, the legal basis on which an application for exceptional financial support was made to government without the approval of the Policy, Finance and Resources Committee? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brodie. Right, we're going to adjourn for 5 minutes while this is written up correctly for members. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. You missed my hand again, Chair.
Okay, members. Eyes down looking. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for your patience, not only online, up in the gallery. It's very warm in here. Everyone's been stretching and stuff, and that's greatly appreciated. I'm going to hand over to the chair of the PFR to move the motion to full council for the budget.
Point of order.
What's the point of order? What's the procedure rule, Councillor Brodie, please, or the law?
The point of order is before the adjournment, I asked if we could have in writing from the monitoring officer the legal basis on which an application for exceptional financial support was made by the Director of Finance. We haven't had that. Therefore, I suggest that any decision we make on the budget is entirely unsafe in law unless we have that legal assurance in writing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brodie. The monitoring officer has assured me that that will be provided, but I will hand over to Mr Potter to answer. Councillor Brodie, can you can we let Mr Potter answer, please, Councillor Brodie? Let Mr Potter answer. And let's be mindful of our respectful debates, please, as well.
Chair, I just point out, I never signed up to the Penn report. Just point that out. Thank you.
But we are all still human beings, and we all respect one another. Whether we disagree or not, we should be respectful as human beings. And if there's a difference of opinion, fine. But we all did support the Penn report. And I get it, Jeff, and there's an issue there. But Mr Potter, please allow him to answer. Please, Councillor.
Personal explanation. I've been entirely respectful. I've asked a respectful question, and I'm being disrespected by a refusal to provide that, forcing councillors and me into making a decision without the certainty of the legal basis of that decision. I believe that is entirely illegal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brodie. Mr Potter.
Thank you, Chairman. I confirm that I will give a written response as requested. And obviously due diligence would require me to look into the fine detail to provide a written response. In the meantime, I'm more than happy to confirm that an application in principle has been submitted to the government. As members are aware, it's detailed in the report, etc. And it was done, as far as I understand, subject to my investigation later. It appears to me that it was done to facilitate the options made available to members in order to members to make a proper decision. The application was made in principle. We have not yet had a unconditional offer from the government as in principle. It's sent in order to provide options to the council to facilitate the budget setting. It has not been finalised. It has not been agreed. It is giving members and indeed the public the heads up as to information. Now, the request which Councillor Brodie asked me to provide was obviously in writing in relation to whether or not members had actually formally agreed to the submission of the application as made. Now, I will look into that and I'll report in writing as requested to Councillor Brodie. And that's all I can say at the present time. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr Potter. I turn to Councillor Jordan, please. Councillor Jordan.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, firstly, to everyone for your patience, to our people in the public gallery, people online. We all know how important the budget is, and it deserves and has had, at least till this point, pretty due consideration across at least the group leaders. And I'll come on to some of the discussions that we had and what we're going to propose. But as chair of PFR, for the first time, I'm proposing the budget as in our full council papers. That was a recommendation of PFR to propose it to full council without amendments. That is what has happened, and that's why it is with us tonight. However, we all know that there are some amendments, and I'm going to address those. Just before I do, I want to say that there is not one councillor in this chamber, not one, probably not one officer, that wishes us to be in the financial position we are in. And it should be very clear to our residents of this island that the financial predicament of this council is not because of decisions that this council has made. The financial predicament of this council is largely at the door of government since 2010, and continuing year on year to reduce our funding, so that we are finding it increasingly difficult to balance our books each year, to the point where we have to consider to provide a legal, lawful budget in delivering the statutory duties that government want us to deliver. And in paying for those, because we have no other option, it has become increasingly difficult to balance those books. And so some of the decisions that we have to consider and have to take are not decisions we would either take lightly, or if we had other choices at all. So it's in that context that we have to, in my view, tonight come to a budget. And one of the reasons that we have to do that is that we have a set date by which we have to set our budget. We're approaching that date. It isn't tonight, but we're approaching that date. And that the officers of this council and the process of this council in terms of, for example, council tax, have to have surety from us as a council, as a council of councillors, that they can move ahead and apply our decisions and apply our implementation of the budget. So I'm going to move on to, we've had some discussions, and it's in front of you now, it's in front of the members of the public, but the recommendation by the Section 151 officer is set out in our report entitled Budget and Council Tax Setting. That's our papers, and future year forecasts incorporating the proposal submitted by the Conservative Group, the Liberal Democratic Group, and the Alliance Group be approved, subject to the following. That one, the recommendation 49S in the Conservative Group amendment is replaced as follows. With regard to the savings proposal, 47 staff reduction programme, the council is committed to transforming services, to deliver improvements in services to residents, and delivering productivity gains through harnessing the benefits of technology and modern ways of working. Transformation will involve reorganising services and staff roles and responsibilities. It is proposed that the council uses every opportunity to redeploy the council's talent to deliver the necessary transformation, or where that's not possible, enter into volunteer arrangements. There will be no compulsory redundancies in this council. And item 2, removal of Fort Victoria closure, winter closure, October to March, from saving number 23 set out in Appendix 3. That has insignificant financial impact on the council. That is the proposal at this moment in time, and I'll look for a seconder.
Chair, I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Black.
Councillor Dorr, I have a point of order. So
What's the procedural rule, Councillor Mosdell?
I'm not quite sure, but it's just the point of order that we actually had an amendment in, and we should have explained that that amendment falls, and we can't actually discuss that amendment. We have to remember that we're in a public meeting, and most.
You haven't given me a procedural rule, Councillor Mosdell. Thank you.
Chair. Chair, if you want respect, you need to respect members of the council. Can I make a point of order? I don't know what it is in terms of the constitution, I submitted an amendment to the Director of Finance's budget proposal last Friday before anybody else's. It was not placed on the agenda by officers and yourself, presumably. Can I have an explanation why that is the case? Why it is not being dealt with first before this cobbled together coalition of the ungodly? Thank you.
See, Mr. Ward, could you explain why Mr. Councillor Brodie's amendment was not taken any further, please?
In terms of the sequencing, it is true that the amendment was received first, but it was changed after it was. So it wasn't finalised first because it was subject to change. And they were changes that were passing between you and I in email correspondence, Councillor Brodie. So other amendments did come through that weren't subject to change and were concluded before your changes were concluded. So that's the reason for the sequencing.
Thank you, Councillor Brodie. I can't explain the answer to that. Well, I can't comment on that. I don't believe that to be the case. However,
Have to leave this council, I really will.
the officers will be able to answer that. The fact remains is we have a motion that's on the floor. It's been proposed, it's been seconded by Councillor Blake. So we are now open to discussion. So I open up the chair for comments. Councillor Morstan.
Thank you. I won't be voting for this. One, because I didn't have time to look at it, and I certainly wasn't involved in any of the discussions about it. And I did agree with Councillor Brodie's original amendment that actually that there would be no redundancies. And actually, it was honest. It was honest saying that the financial position that we are in, you aren't going to transform your ways out of it. We've had 9 years of working since I've been a councillor, doing, different technology. This reads if you're going to transform your way out of it, what you want to do, have a load of AI set up there, because you're not going to get out of the mess you're in. The only way you're going to get out of this mess is nationally with support and looking at the issues between children's services and adult social care across the country. So I'm not going to vote for it because I don't agree that you're not going to make people compulsory redundant. I don't think that's not going to happen. I think it's all very well putting sticking plasters on and borrowing stuff, but I think you have to be honest with the public. You have to be honest with the public that you are borrowing, and this isn't, government coming to save you. This is government giving you a loan that means in a few years' time you're going to be in a worse position and owing even more money. And if I have to say it and be pushed to say it in a public domain, I think at the end of the day, none of you want to sign up for a 141 at the moment, but it's going to happen. And if it's not happening now, it will happen in a year's time or 2 years' time. This is the way that it's happening. And you are going to vote through a budget tonight that is just a sticking plaster, a very limp sticking plaster. It's a bit like you've been swimming in it and it's not going to stay on for very long. So run with it, but be honest about it. Don't walk out of here congratulating yourselves that you've all cobbled something together. What you need to do is make Island residents realise that there is no transforming your stuff here. This has to be an honest situation that we've got no finance officer in May. Do our residents know that from May we have no Section 151 officer? Could someone in this chamber tell me who is going to apply for a job of a council that's going up the Swanee? At the end of the day, in June, you will be paying for a statutory 1 officer who will be a consultant. They will cost you a fortune. The level of dishonesty that's happening at the moment of the reality of this situation is not really being portrayed to our residents. What residents are worried at the moment is petitions going on about parking charges. I get it, you know, the high streets are dying, but you need to say to residents, we do need government help and we need it now. And voting for this is not going to make it happen.
Thank you, Councillor Mostel. Councillor Garrett, Andrew.
Thank you, Chair. I put my hand up too to endorse the words of the Leader of the Council when he placed blame for the situation that we are in at the government's door. And I absolutely endorse the analysis that Councillor Mosdell has made. The blame for our situation is at government's door. The view I've taken, and I'm not going to walk out of this chamber and wake up tomorrow morning feeling anything other than the relief that there is a budget through, that we can keep the council going. I see it rather like people talk about it being a black hole. For a physicist, a black hole is an inescapable physical thing. Once you've crossed the event horizon, that's it. You're stuck, you're spaghettified, you're crushed out of existence. So if I can torture that analogy a little bit more, what I see we're trying to do is at least steer the ship away from that black hole, at least for a little bit longer. But yes, Councillor Mostel is absolutely right. There is a very real prospect that unless the government does something, not just for this council, but for every council in England, because that is the responsibility of the Westminster government for the English councils, until it finally sorts out that all of our councils are very, very poorly funded, then that risk of Section 114 comes along. It is a massive body blow that we had under what was an unfair funding review. I've read up on the experiences of councils that have seen the commissioners come in, and I wasn't in a presentation, but I understand members did hear from a union representative who had experienced that. And I think the word, certainly the word I would use, but I think the word used there was it was brutal. So anything that we can do to steer away for at least a little bit longer is the right thing we can do for residents. But Councillor Mosdell is absolutely right. We will need to be honest. Those of us who are standing again, be very honest about the choices that we have made in order to keep this council going and what we hope they will have in mind when they vote, because it is the government which has put us in this position.
Thank you, Councillor Garrett. Councillor Love, Carl.
Thank you, Chair. I completely support what the Leader of this council said. We have supported government from 2010 and different governments. They're taking £100 million a year from us as a council. We supported them in their hour of need through their austerity created by the banks, and we supported them willingly. They took our grants, the people of this island groaned, we suffered, and now it's our point of need. It is not unreasonable to expect government who tell us that austerity is over for them to return just 25% of that 100 million that they took. It's not unreasonable. We supported them when they needed it. They are not being fair to us, to you, our MPs, and to our leaders here who have tried to persuade them and provided the evidence, and yet they ignore us. How fair is that to the people of the island? I have struggled with this budget because I don't believe I can support it either. Not because of the figures, but because of the impact directly on the people that we represent. We talk about it purely in a monetary matter. You know, and people talk about parking. Why are people talking about parking when it's maybe a few 100,000, when we need millions? We're talking about making it look sexy, this budget, by removing the parking fees because of what the public will feel out there, when the reality is we need £10 million and more. That's why I suggested and wrote to you all that we actually reduce the transformation in order to budget, in order to not impact the people directly. We need big money, not thousands and not fanciful suggestions. I can't support this for lots of reasons because of the impact it will have out there on the public in lots of different ways. It's not just about parking. When we've sold off those services, £6 million that we talk about, they are gone. That's it. And this council will collapse. And it will collapse because of government. And everybody in this room has tried really hard to find solutions. But there aren't any solutions to that. So the general public need to be aware of that. This council will collapse at some point towards the end of this year or early next year. It will pull down every bit of money it's got, including the promises that we made to my residents, which I think about now, about the floating bridge. There is X millions of pounds sat in an account, not ring fenced, but earmarked, which will be pulled down and spent. It will not replace the floating bridge. That's just one example of one thing that will go, and so will everything else. And that's why I can't support it, because it will impact on our residents directly. Poverty will grow. People will sit in the cold. That is the reality of this budget.
Thank you, Councillor Love. Thank you. Councillor Jones-Evans. Julie, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I've sat here at budget time since 2010, doing the government's dirty work. Not willingly, Councillor Love, unwillingly, but seemingly that things will get better. I always remember being shown by our 151 officer at the time, the graph of doom. Well, this is doomsday now. We've never been in such a terrible situation. And the leader's right, none of us want to get behind this budget, even this amended budget, because of the damage it will do, further damage it will do to our council and our residents. I don't think we should be taxing our residents anymore. They're already more highly taxed. I think we're over over the about top 60% of taxation with our, what we have to pay with our council tax and car parking charges and everything else that we pay. We are a very highly taxed area. We have higher, we have lower wages. We have higher expenses with our housing, for instance. So we're under pressure. And I thought devolution was going to be coming down the road this year, and that would give us some kind of sense of getting out of this mess. But because that's been delayed by 2 years, it really has made me feel quite despondent. We've cut and cut and cut and cut to this in this council, and I see the damage it's done to our communities and also to our staff here at the council. The work doesn't go away; it just goes onto someone else's shoulders. And that's why I'm pleased to see that this amendment does have some comfort that we won't be doing any voluntary redundancies, which I was very firm on. So I don't want to be voting for this budget at all. I will do, though, because it's a responsible thing for me to do. But there's one bright spark in this budget, and that's because it's One Leisure. One Leisure has turned around since it was shut down during the pandemic, when we had to support it, and now it's able back into making money and putting about £220,000 into the coffers. So I think we need to really applaud all the team at One Leisure for doing such a fantastic job and supporting the health of our community. That's one bright spark. I haven't got much more to say, really. I'm feeling quite despondent, a bit depressed about all of this because we don't want to be here. And government, now they're telling us they don't even believe our figures, that it costs us more to deliver our services because we're an island separated by water from the main. I'm absolutely in disbelief about that. I know what our leaders have done in the past. I know what our chief executive's done. I know what Chris Ward's done. All the evidence, and we've given them the evidence in the way they want it. We need it in a certain way. Okay, we'll do that for you. Here you go. Oh no, we don't want it that way. We want it the other way now. So I will vote for it, but we aren't in a good position.
Thank you, Councillor Jones-Evans. Councillor Jarman. Chris.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to start off by commending Councillor Brodie. Not something I tend to do very often in this chamber, but I do this evening. The budget that he put forward was very much a budget from the heart. It had the heart of every islander within it. It encompassed all of the savings which were possible, should that have been brought forward. Of course, had it been brought forward in the order that we had expected this evening, then we may not have reached this point of the evening and other measures may have been considered. But that's not to be, and we'll never know now how that timeline might or might not have played out. What we've got before us is the result of a government who's put us on austerity with steroids. We don't have a lot of choice, and this isn't a solution. We should all be aware of that. All this does is to defer a situation for a fixed period of time. It extends our runway with no guarantee at all that we will be able to survive that process. Indeed, the prognosis from the 151 officer for the next few years is pretty awful. And we don't have any answers at all before us for how that's going to be reached, other than accelerated borrowing beyond anything that I could have ever contemplated before, and remembering that the interest payable on those loans is compounded should we take them. So we have a really awful choice here, and we have to think of it as an island basis. Do we extend the runway one more time in the perhaps vague hope that the government will do something to recognise our situation? My guess is they will not. And I say that very starkly. And all we will do is extend the runway for no useful purpose other than to put ourselves into more jeopardy and put more risk on the island. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jarman. Before I go to Councillor Blake as the second, has anybody got any more comments? Councillor Stevens.
On me now, that's brilliant, thank you. I don't know if the people online understand what the amendments were, etc., and are we going to be able to get those out? Because at this moment in time, we're talking about just a part of the amendment and the situation itself. So when we penned our amendment, as no doubt others did, we put forward some recommendations. They haven't been heard as yet in the debate. I'm not going to reel them off, but I feel sure that at some stage, or it should have been, asked out what the agreed amendment was when we came together as a group. And I'm talking about a cross-chamber group. And I'm not going to talk party politics or anything like that, but that should have come together, and that should have been presented so that people at home, the media, and indeed our staff who are probably online and present, need to know what we've actually agreed. What I will say is that people are talking about a section 114. It's not a club. You don't just go and apply and get it like a bag of chips at the chip shop. There's certain criteria and there's certain measures to be taken before you get there. We have to prove that we are managing our finances as best that we can, and making sure that we've got an improvement board or committee to actually see us over the next year or two to get us on the right path. And that is crucial. If we can do that, and that must include external stakeholders, not just people in this chamber. It's good. We've got to stretch out to business, education, right across the Isle of Wight, and make sure that we involve people to actually get things going, so that we get something that is worthwhile, something that we can actually drive forward as a pathway, a positive pathway to move forward. I'm not doom and gloom. We're trying to avert a section 114. We're trying to avert even using EFS funding. We're trying to move forward, and that's why I'm going to vote for this. And I would like to say tonight, although we've had a lot of delays and what have you, within this chamber, it's about time we came together for the people of the island. And that heartens me that we can actually move forward collectively. And let's hope that this is the first step. It might be the last full council, Councillor Dore, but I tell you what, it could be the first step to making sure that we come together for the good of the island, its residents and its businesses, as well as our staff. Our staff are second to none. I'll tell you that. I've been here since 2001 and I couldn't wish for a better support than I've had. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Stevens. Councillor Brodie, Jeff.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to largely say what I would have said if I'd been permitted to propose my amendment, but clearly that's not going to happen. The budget that we originally had presented to us from the Director of Finance, not from the Policy and Finance Committee, and has been approved by government, but never by any member of this council or committee. Remember that. The budget plan is for the next 12 months to spend a fortune delaying the inevitable. A bit like a fish on a hook, struggling to survive before it gets bashed over the head in the vain hope and maybe thrown back into the water. Because that is what will happen in 12 months' time. Irrespective of your fantasy improvement board, I prefer to call it destruction board, spending £12 million of Islanders' money over the next year on trying to clear a deficit of 20 million that will rise to what even the Director of Finance says will be 65 million in 4 years' time. It can't be done. We've improved and transformed to the tune of £100 million over the last 50 years. There is no fat left. There really isn't. This council is finished and the commissioners and their hatchets are coming, and all you're seeking to do is to do their job. You won't succeed. They will do it instead. And ultimately, all that will happen is that the Isle of Wight Council will end up being what most of you don't want, merged with Portsmouth, almost inevitable. That will be a decision, may not be made this year, 12 months, 24 months for certain. This council is finished. Why waste £12 million on a so-called transformation that will fail when it can be spent for the benefit of Highlanders over the next 12 months rather than wasted? The Director of Finance tells us my amendment is illegal. I'm surprised that until Sunday spending the proposed fund was legal. That's what a number of policy, finance and resources councillors were told. I have in writing in front of me a copy of an email from Mr. Ward to a member of that committee last week. And the AFS application, an application without due process or approval, probably ultra-virus, but we're not allowed to know yet, putting us 13 million in debt and probably more in years to come. And what are you losing by voting for this and not being able to consider mine? A guarantee that 30 people's jobs, crucial to the island's economy, saving the other services, making short-term car parking available in all towns. Newport councillors should never be voting for this budget, which continues the inequity of Newport's situation. Support for the hard-working, voluntary community pantries on the island. They are just abandoning. Councillor Stevens, I said I put that in my amendment. He's now abandoning it. That's how committed he was. I am committed. And the adult social care sector, desperately in need of a boost after years and years of shortchange through the government's funding of local government, desperately needed. They were the sort of things I wanted, and it would still have left you £14 million in general reserves. But you're going to throw all of that away because we have David Cameron and Nick Clegg revisited with Phil Jordan joining the coalition of 2010, 2015 revisited in this chamber. Just remember, everybody who thinks the Lib Dems have changed, they're exactly the same. Please vote against this dreadful, dreadful amendment and allow mine to be considered later on and support that. Vote for the island instead of the Director of Finance's proposal with the cobbled together amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brodie. Councillor Stewart, Nick.
Thank you, Chair. It's very easy to be emotional about this. And we've heard lots of words which expose those emotions. And I have to agree with them. This is a disastrous budget in front of us, and it damages the island immensely. However, we, the elected members of this council, have a duty to the islanders, our residents, our friends, our colleagues, our families, to carry on as best as we can. And this gives us a chance. I see no reason to throw those chances away. We can agree that we need to keep going because, believe me, Section 114 is not something you want to see on the island. You think this is bad, you wait till they arrive, the commissioners. I don't care if they're only put off 12 months. I think we have no choice if we believe that we can do something to help the island. So I accept everything that is said about why this is so bad, but this is still better than giving up. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stewart. Councillor Lucioni, Karen.
It's a very emotional night, isn't it? So I agree. It's a great debate and lots to think about. But just going back to what Councillor Stevens said, I've had a few people contact me that are online. They do not understand what is being proposed. So I think we do need to touch on that. We didn't. But if they haven't read the amendments in the first place, they don't know what's being said. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure the mover can refresh us on that before we move to the vote. I'll just comment briefly well, it's on the screen as well for viewers. As a ward member for Binsted and Fishbourne, not as the chair, we've got a stack of roadworks in there at the moment on Eleanor's Grove. I completely understand why they're there, and I will actually tip my hat to Southern Water. Their communication's been very good. The roadworks are progressing very, very well. There's also a road closure on Farstone Copse Road, which I'm not a fan of, I have to say that. But like you, Karen, I've got emails from businesses that are on the verge of going under. They are there right now. And once they go, we all know what happens, they don't come back. It's the same in Ryde. There's a gentleman who came to Ryde Town Council actually not so long ago, and he did a straw poll of some of the businesses on Union Street. And this was a good 6 weeks ago. The straw poll revealed that they were already, this is 15 shops, so it's only very small, 30% down, just on that Eleanor's Grove one-way system. These are people that are treading water right now. They're drowning. If we walk past them and don't throw them a landline, what sort of responsibility is that? And that, although we are in an absolute massive world of brown stuff, and we are, cheers government, we absolutely are, this amendment does that. And if it buys them that extra 12 months, fine, good, because it's irresponsible not to, in my eyes. These are people that they're on the school run from Fishbourne, parents that are then going to work, going around a 20-minute extra drive, and they're getting back, they're having to cut time out, they're paying additional childcare fees. There's Quor Abbey, the letter from Quor Abbey, I'm thinking cited by Councillor Redrup, is absolutely shocking. I won't mention some of the businesses' names, but they are on the verge of letting people go. This extends that a little bit by not putting the car parking charges on Union Street and in other places across the island. Newport, absolutely. And wherever you want to. I couldn't justifiably go, nah, I'll give it a miss, thanks. You've got to help people when they're in trouble. And they absolutely are right now. And let's face it, we probably will be in the brown stuff again later down the line. But for the moment, this is a lifebuoy to them. And I will support it this evening. Councillor Blake, you are the seconder of this motion. Oh, I'm sorry, Claire. Councillor Christensen, sorry. And then we'll go to Ed.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, you couldn't see me. I just wanted, as we were saying, that people online weren't quite clear. I think it, as you just touched on there, that it's the parking fees. They're not going to increase. We are not going to start charging in areas which aren't already chargeable. The floating bridge fees are not going to increase for anyone, and especially not under 19s, I believe. There won't be staff redundancies that, you know, are forced on them. And so I think that's quite clear. And the tip will be open for 5 days, not reduced to 4. So I think that's some of the main things that so people are clear what we have made decisions on tonight. And it's been really difficult decisions. Newport Roman Villa will stay open. That was one that I was quite keen to make sure happened. And Duke of Edinburgh, yeah, there's lots of really brilliant things that we've continued with tonight, but there are some things in there that we didn't all agree with, but we have come to that consensus. So I think it's been really difficult, and it's been really good to see that we can come together. And, you know, it's really hard because there are things that we aren't happy with, but overall, I think we have to agree that we need to have this budget and do our best for the people we represent right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Critchinson. Councillor Blake, as seconder.
Thank you, Chair. I wish to associate myself with a lot of the comments made tonight. This is a diabolical situation we've been put in. To give people a brief history of the situation, back in August, we were potentially looking at making £3 to £4 million worth of savings across this council. That then was deemed to be an unpalatable set of circumstances. And then the government turned around at Christmas with another Christmas present similar to last year. Here you go, have this, a reduction in funding to this council. It took me a little while to admit it, but it was a reduction in funding to this council. We were then left with a situation where this year we were down £24 million. All of a sudden, £4 million becomes a rounding error. That unpalatable situation that we were in would almost seem like Christmas. What we have managed to get together today is a series of amendments that naturally, given the situation that we have got zero wiggle room, have got not much between them. I'd like to thank the leaders of the Dem group with Councillor Andrew Garrett and Councillor Phil Jordan for remaining around that table. It got fractious in there, but remaining around that table for the better of the island. This is still a diabolical situation. However, it is a smidgen, an iota, I think scientists call it, the tiniest amount better than it would have been. I am forever an optimist. And I believe in this island, I believe in this council, and I believe that there are 39 councillors in here that want to do some good. And I believe there's 39 councillors in here that if we are backed into the corner, we're going to still come out fighting. Because what islanders want at home is a little bit of leadership. They don't want someone to roll over and go, oh, well, we're going to doomed anyway. I've been on the rugby pitch when I've been down 130-0. I still think I'm going to blooming well win. And there's a chance, if there's a chance I will come out that game winning, I'll carry on. But the question becomes, at what stage is it foolhardy? For me, I still see some options that lead us to a situation where we are not in the diabolical state we are today. So you may call that foolhardy, but only history will be able to tell you whether I'm right or the doom mongers are right. I look forward to the rest of the story, but for now, the story goes on.
Thank you, Councillor Blake. I'll return to Councillor Jordan ahead of going to the vote. Phil.
Thank you.
So could I just ask you to clarify something? I think you may have misled anybody who was listening about.
Is it a point of order on which procedure rules
have? Parking proposal. I don't want people to misunderstand. You suggested that the amendment protected free parking everywhere on the island. That is not the case. Newport will still be treated as a cash cow inequitably by this council, and every Newport member should bear that in mind, because I'm watching. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brodie. Councillor Jordan.
Thank you. I'll try and summarise. There's been quite a few comments. Let's just first say, I personally not abandoning anything, certainly not abandoning Jeff's motion, and my group would support what I'm about to say. We, as a group, would have preferred to use reserves. That's very clear. We started with our amendment in doing so. We proposed that there be no savings, as in our proposed budget at all. No savings, and we would fund that through transformation reserves. That was stopped. That was stopped, prevented. So I'm not abandoning Jeff's motion. If it had come into this council, you would have all had a choice. I would have voted for Jeff's motion had it come to this council. Because I believe that's the way that we should have approached. And our island are going to struggle to understand how this council has £26 million in the bank and still makes cuts. They're going to struggle to understand that. But we have begun to understand that, haven't we? We've begun to understand that we applied for exceptional financial support, EFS, and with it, not only, it's not a grant, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, residents of this island, it's not a grant. It's the ability to borrow money that we have to repay. That's what government have given us. And with it comes the conditions that you can't spend your transformation reserves. Hey ho, who would have thought it? Who would have known it? Did you know? Did I know? I didn't know. I didn't know that having the ability to borrow money that I had to repay stops me spending my other money in the bank. Never heard of it. But we've learnt that tonight. So I'm not abandoning you, Jeff, your proposals, and I'm certainly not abandoning this island. Absolutely not. It was referred to. The problem with this council's finances is the way the government choose to fund this council. Fair funding, it was called. Fair funding. That's what it was called. And when it was delivered to us, it was anything but fair. We actually lose money. Now, our overall spending power, because government wants to use this, core spending power is going up. Goes up because we are imposing 5% council tax every year. If it wasn't for that, our funding would be going down from government. They accept it. They accept it. But they use their calculation of core spending power. So we're doing okay, thanks. We're not, but they think we are. What I heard last week, big disappointment. I heard that Councillor Blake referred to it, and others here were involved with this. We, with government, with their officials, agreed that there was a deficit on funding for this island of 24 million. They didn't argue with it at the time. They helped us do it. Our Section 15 officer, a professional, helped come up with that figure. What did I hear last week? Two councillors, two MPs were in the same meeting. We don't accept your assessment that 24 million. That's what was said. Civil servants, not government, civil servants. We don't accept it. The red light went on for me. Here we go. We're going to have to start again with government about providing the information in some other form that gets them to fund this island correctly. So we've got an ask on our hands on that. Yeah, what are we doing? It's a 1-year fix. Whatever we have chosen tonight is a 1-year fix. Next year, you're going to be faced with this and more. Some of us may be here, some may not. But that's what this council is faced with. And when Councillor Brodie talks in those terms, he's hitting the button. We can't get through this without proper government intervention. The problem is that government at the moment believe that borrowing is your answer. I've never heard such. You're in debt and you go and borrow to get out of debt. Can somebody explain to me the fallacy of that? You're borrowing to pay for your debt and incurring more debt. So next year we've got more debt because we've borrowed money. It makes no sense. There is no sense to it. So we would have hoped that the transformation fund could have been used in some way or other. It wasn't available to us, but abandoned this island? Never.
Thank you, Councillor Jordan. We will now go to the vote. It will be a name vote in alphabetical order in accordance with Procedure Rule 19 as defined in our Constitution. And Mr. Potter will call out your name and answer.
Can I just clarify that we're voting on the amendment first? Because this is an amendment that we will be taking a vote on first before we take a vote on the final budget.
The monitoring officer will clarify. Councillor Price.
Thank you, Councillor Price, and thank you, Chair. The only motion moved this evening on this item is that which has been moved by the Chair of PFR, which incorporates the three proposals from the Alliance Group, the Lib Dem Group and the Conservative Group, and subject to the information set out in the sheet which was handed out during the course of this meeting. So there's no amendment on the floor. It is a straightforward amendment as a straightforward motion, a composite motion following constructive discussions outside this chamber. Thank you.
Chair, if this is a motion we're dealing with, then I would like to propose an amendment to it. Wondering if said to you, I understood it was an amendment. It says quite clearly, motion, the monitoring officer, as ever, accurate to a fault, has said it's a motion. I would like to therefore formally propose my amendment as an amendment to that motion, and I'll look for a seconder. Thank you.
Monitoring officer, please.
Through you, Chair. The amendment which has been put forward by the very broad church has not been validated by the Section 151 officer, nor is it lawful in my view, and therefore it does not come within the rules of an amendment, and therefore is not to be accepted and not to be debated. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, monitoring officer. So,
Sorry.
Councillor Brodie, the monitoring officer has given advice and I'm going to follow that advice.
Once again, we have a statement by a monitoring officer which hasn't been put in writing, because I think all of these decisions, these advice, are increasingly something that should be investigated further. And as somebody who will soon be a private citizen, I intend to do that. But I do feel that a perfectly legitimate amendment was put in the opinion of the Section 151 officer, who obviously runs this council. It is not legal. That has just been rubber stamped by the monitoring officer. And once again, on this council, a dying council, democracy is denied. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Brodie. All noted. We will go to the vote. Please indicate for, against or abstain. Monitoring officer, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I shall give your, you could please give your vote for, against or abstain. Councillor Adams, please. Thank you. Councillor Andre. For, thank you. Councillor Bacon. For, thank you. Councillor Beston. For. Councillor Blake. For, thank you. Councillor Brading. For, thank you. Councillor Brodie.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Cameron.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Churchman. For, thank you. Councillor Critchison.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Dorr.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Drew. For. Thank you. Councillor Fuller.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Garrett, please. For. Thank you. Councillor Hendry. For. Thank you. Councillor Jarman. For. Thank you. Councillor Jeffries. For. Thank you. Councillor Jones Evans.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Jordan.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Lever.
Against.
Thank you. And Councillor Lilly, please.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Love.
Against.
Thank you. Councillor Lucioni, please.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Mostel. Thank you. Councillor Nicholson, please.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Nye, please.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Oliver.
Against.
Okay, thank you. Councillor PC Wilcox, please. Thank you. Councillor Price.
Against.
Thank you. Councillor Quigley.
Against.
Thank you. Councillor Quirk.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Ray Redrup, please.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Sarah Redrup, please.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Robertson.
4.
Thank you. Councillor Spink, please.
4.
Thank you. Councillor Stevens.
4.
Thank you. Councillor Stewart, please.
4.
Thank you. And Councillor Ward.
4.
Thank you.
Thank you, members. The budget is carried.
Get them to
Oh, sorry, I'll wait for clarification after all three of us had totted up there. Let's carry 30-8. Thank you, members. The next item on the agenda is the local transport plan. And again, I invite Councillor Jordan as Chair of Policy, Finance and Resources Committee to propose the recommendation of the committee, please.
Thank you, Chair. It's page 165. This has been through 2 committees and approved for adoption by us. I'm not going to make, it's a very long document. It's a lot of work by a lot of people over a long time. We do need a local transport plan. It's more important as we move into devolution with strategic funding coming through the combined authority. And without too much ado, I would ask you to adopt, I propose that we adopt the final draft of the transport plan as attached in our papers. I'd look for a seconder.
Councillor Fuller, thank you. It's been moved and it's seconded. It's on the floor for debate if anybody wishes to comment. Councillor Jarman.
Thank you, Chair. I've commented on this in a number of committees before, and I know that other councillors have got concerns. I've no doubt at all that we will probably move forward with this, but it's worth looking back and reminding ourselves that the biggest impediment to transport and infrastructure this island has is the ferries. And I don't see within this paperwork any strategic solution to that crisis that we have for our island. I know that the ferries are privately owned. I've been through all the debates for many years now on that topic. People keep telling me there's nothing we can do about them. I know that both of our MPs have spoken openly on this topic at some length and brought it to the fore, and I congratulate them for that. But we have not found a solution to that. And I believe that without having a solution to that ferry issue, strategic issue for this island, that we will always have a policy which is in some way deficient, Chair. And I very much hope that we can find some other resolution to incorporate within this policy at a later date, albeit, of course, that the review period for this is quite lengthy. We did have it clarified in the earlier committee that it's under constant review, and so amendments can be brought into it at any time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor John. Oh, point of information.
Point of information, thank you. Just I should have said this. It's a living document. This is not a document that you're being asked to approve and it will be set in stone for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It's a living document and Councillor Jarman's right. When the opportunities arise, they will be adopted in, considered and brought into our local plan. So I want to make that point, Chair.
Thank you very much, Leader. Councillor Jones-Evans, Julie.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Leader, for praising the reason why we need this plan. We do have to have a local transport plan, and especially now as we're going to be working across the region more closely with Portsmouth, Southampton, and Hampshire. We need to make sure that our plan almost leads the way, really, and sets the standard. Thank you for saying that it's going to be a living document. That is absolutely correct, because you can't have a plan for so long that is going to be static, set in time in when 2025 when it was written. It's a huge amount of work that's gone into it. I do applaud all the officers that are involved with that, and also thank the public. There's been, many years, I think, actually, of consultation to get to this document we've got at the minute. But looking at sustainability, especially sustainable tourism, is a real boon for the island. It's one of our USPs, if you like. And if you couple that with the £13.1 million that we've recently, last 2 years, 18 months, got from Department of Transport for our Green Link, which is a sustainable transport route running from West White right through Newport, doing some very good changes in Newport as well, I have to say. We don't actually we can't cycle across Newport safely, so this will be a big improvement. And then on through to Ryde. So things like that are absolutely critical to the future of attracting more people to the island, but not necessarily having to bring a car. So that was one thing that was very, very important. And behaviour change as well, using the buses more. Friday, actually, we've got, I think it's 26 new buses coming to the island, which are going to be all electric. It's a massive investment by Southern Vectis, and we're going to be outstanding in our region because of the network we've got, the energy network we've got on the island. They're able to have so many electric buses. They couldn't do that in Southampton, for instance. So I'm looking forward to seeing all those buses as well. And having a really good bus network means you can get on you can reliably get on a bus. I mean, I know we've got the problems with the roadworks at the minute, but going to Cowes is a breeze. I get on the number one. I'm there in 15 minutes. Fantastic, from Newport to there, and also to Ryde as well every 10 minutes. So having a really good sustainable network does help with that behaviour change. And in my ward, in Newport Central, half of households do not have a car. So having options for good sustainable transport is absolutely critical. But it's not just all about sustainable transport. It is also about our biosphere status, our environment, and using new technology, and also making sure we've got our Solent crossings correct, and investing in our road network as well. So I'd like to follow you, Leader, in commending this to the council for passing tonight.
Thank you, Chair. Another point of information. The investment is a government grant. So I think it's 19 million, but it was a government grant that's invested to Southern Vectis, who've bought the electric buses. Thank you. Just for information. The reason, Chair, that's an important point of information is just now we were talking about the financial difficulties of this council. I wouldn't want anyone to run away the idea that this council found any of that money. We didn't.
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Andre, Debbie.
Thank you, Chair. I think Councillor Jarman is quite right. We do have, we know, we hear it from residents all the time, the worsening situation with the ferries. But we know there is a solution. So policy area 1, accessibility and safety, from the public consultation, a fixed link across the Solent in the form of a tunnel or a bridge was specifically requested by 46 respondents, reducing travel times and costs and attracting more tourists. We know that there is a solution there. And do you know, the thing that is blocking that is political will. Well, I am willing to stand up for residents. I'm willing to stand up for businesses. I'm willing to stand up for the economy of this island. And I will be fighting to get that study done. It needs the political will to go to government to get the study done for the fixed link. We know it is feasible. We need to get the viability study done. We need to stop procrastinating. We need to accept that we will never fix the ferries, and we need to get on with the fixed link study. It's really good to hear that this document is a living document, because I want to see progression on that fixed link study. I will be supporting this, but that needs to happen, and it needs to happen now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Andre. Members, can we keep the noise down and the members talking, please? Bit of respect there. Thank you, Councillor. We're going to, I am going to propose that we suspend standing orders later to get us another hour, because we've got some serious business to attend to, including, excuse me, what? I can. Oh yeah, it's all there. He's the governor. Yeah. Otherwise, we miss out on pensions and proportionality, and it's very important. So, Councillor Fuller, carry on.
Thank you, Chair. Very, very pleased to see this plan. I think I'm the only person left that was involved in the first local transport plan many years ago. And I remember talking to Chris Wells, who was the transport officer back then, when we had a transport officer that was pulling a lot of this together. Big thank you to Stuart Chandler. He's done a fantastic job. It was many years ago. Cross-zone travel. Yes, I'd like to say a big thank you to Joe and Richard, actually, because they've been banging the drum about cross-zone travel for a long time, and I really appreciate the work that they're doing in government. It is really appreciated. The residents see it, so do local businesses, and that is very much appreciated. And certainly the work that I've been undertaking in my role as member for Transport for South East, I am also echoing those views, and to have the support of both MPs is absolutely invaluable, as well as the council. The policy is there, Chris. It's policy AS3. It is a movable feast, and I look forward to making amendments to that over the next period of time. Yeah, there is still a long way to go. I don't know how long it would take to have a cross-Solent fixed link, how long that will take, but knowing how long it took to have a bridge to cross the Medina several years ago, it takes a long time. So it's something we all have to bear in mind. Whether we love the ferries or we hate them, we have to work with them, we have to challenge them, and we have to make sure that they listen to us and our community. And I look forward to carrying on doing this for the next few weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fuller. Councillor Nicholson, John.
Thank you. In accordance with the principles of fractal governance, which I've written to you all about, Cowstown Council, through its place plan, has ready to go its own transport policy, pending review of the approved document, plus a whole suite of other strategies and policies. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nicholson. Councillor Jones, you raised a point of order. What's the...
Board Chair, you mentioned about extending the meeting, but we were advised earlier by one of our Democratic Services team that this meeting cannot be extended, cannot exceed 4 hours after the advertised start time, with no ability to extend para 4.5.
Councillor Jones-Evans, I'll be able to clarify that. Under Procedure Rule 9, this meeting lasts for 4 hours, and given the remaining items of business, I will be seeking support to suspend Procedure Rule 9 to extend this meeting by up to an hour under Procedure Rule 25. That's come from legal. So if we want to get business concluded this evening, and as this is our last meeting, we've got pensions on the agenda, we have proportionality and a couple of other little bits to get done, we really should bang it out for another hour. So thank you, Councillor Nicholson. Councillor Quigley.
Yeah, going back to the actual point about the transport document, rather than taking it all about ferries, it's a very comprehensive document. Actually, you could say congratulations to the officer responsible for writing it, Kaylee Richter, and all everyone else involved. Well done. But to Councillor Andre's point about the political objection to the viability study for a fixed link, there's no objection from me. I've had 5+ meetings with government and continue to have meetings about where the funding might come from. Our biggest chance is through devolution, in all fairness, because that's just how funding works. They don't go to areas and say, here's a problem. But I just needed to stress the point there is no political objection to a viability study at all. But that said, we should never give up on trying to sort out our cross-Solent transport issues prior to that anyway, because the tunnel will probably take 7 to 10 years to build, whichever way round.
Thank you, Councillor Quigley. Councillor Love, Carl.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, it is a comprehensive document. A lot of effort has gone into it, and I appreciate that very much. And it does seem as though we're going to get hooked into ferries and things across the Solent, when actually this is so much more than that. It's a way forward, it's a blueprint, and it is a fluid document, as you have said. And I look forward to working on it. I think it's really important just to clarify, though. I remember this council having a meeting with the fixed link group. We did not object. In fact, we said very clearly that we would support them in them raising the funds to deliver it. So there's never been any political objection to it. We've always been supportive as a council from that point, but money is money, and we don't have any, as we've heard. So I'm very happy for them to go ahead and do that. And if they should be able to find the funding to do that, I would then look to see, under this transport plan, a full referendum of the people of the island to decide whether they want to do it or not, because it doesn't just affect, it's not just about a tunnel, it's about the whole community and our way of life. But this document is a good document. I would reiterate the need to replace the floating bridge with another vessel sooner, and the reason being, financially, it's losing 900,000 a year, and it needs to be replaced. And also, it's an important and critical part of the infrastructure of this island, which enables jobs. The SLEP said so, everybody said so. So therefore, we have to get on. Doing nothing is not an option, unless you want to have £10 million worth of debt in another 10 years, because that's what it's losing. So, so those are my points, and thank you to the officers for putting this in. But I'm just making the point, we need to do something. We can't just walk away and not do anything about the floating bridge.
Thank you very much, Councillor Love. Councillor Fuller, the second, has already spoken, so I'll go back to Councillor Jordan to sum up, and then we'll move to the vote.
Thank you, Chair. I won't take too much time. Just to, I know Councillor Fuller said it in the best intent and interest, but we do have a transport team and a transport manager, and they work bloody hard to bring this document forward to us so that we can consider it. So it wasn't just almost, it was 20 years ago today, wasn't it? That your transport manager helped the first plan, but we have one now. Look, Chair, it's a living document. This will adapt, it will adopt as we move forward, as things change. It is essentially an island transport plan. I accept that connectivity is part of that transport, but it is essentially for our island, the electrification, if and when it comes, the electric buses, but more than that, our whole integration of transport, of moving people around in a way that's efficient for our island and suits our community. So it will change. Chair, I'll just move to the vote if you could.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jordan. All those in favour, please. Those against? And any abstentions? Barry, fantastic.
Given we've only got a very limited number of meetings still to be held, and the criticality of making sure we have the politically proportionate representation of those, could I suggest that we move that item to the next item of business? I don't think it's particularly contentious. I think we can deal with it quite quickly.
Councillor Jarman, I'm just about to make a recommendation so that we can fulfil tonight's agenda, actually. You may or may not agree with it. It's democratic. We will go to the vote on it. But under Procedure Rule 9, this meeting lasts for 4 hours. And given the remaining items of business, I seek support to suspend Procedure Rule 9 to extend this meeting by up to an hour under Procedure Rule 25. We should go to the vote on that, if we please. All those in favour of extending for an hour, please show. We need to do it. Oh, okay. Those against? Fair dinkum. Any abstentions? Not that it matters. Right. So let me just check with that, Chris, how it's facilitated to move the proportionality up. Okay, we'll move on straight with proportionality, Councillor Jarman.
Is the monitoring officer?
Thank you, Councillor Jarman. Thank you, Chair. I've obtained as best I can the wishes of the relevant members. You've got the revised sheet in front of you. Tonight I've got a few alterations which have been given to me this evening. The first committee, Adult Social Care, Public Health and Housing Needs Committee, Councillor Stevens is appointed as a permanent member of that committee, and Councillor Fuller is a substitute. Councillor Love from the non-aligned.
Sorry, Chair. It's actually Councillor Jeffries on behalf of the Alliance Group.
Yeah, sorry, I misspoke in that case. It's Jeffries, thank you. Yes, moving on to the next item, as I say, Councillor Love from the non-aligned in that committee. Next committee, Appeals Committee, is as written in front of you, members. There's no nominations put forward by the Reform Group for appointments and Employment Committee.
Sorry, Chair, could we also confirm the substitutes for all the newly appointed principal members?
Yes, I'll just reiterate the.
Too quickly on that one.
No problem. The substitute for Audit, Social Care, Public Health and Housing Needs Committee is Councillor Paul Fuller has been added to that list. The next Appeals Committee is as written. Appointments and Employment Committee, the only change is that there are no nominations put forward by the Reform Group. The Audit and Governance Committee, I understand that there is a wish for alternative arrangements which had previously been put in place, whereby, and assuming Councillor Spink is willing, for Councillor Spink to serve on Audit and Governance and remain as chair.
Thank you. Yes, I'm willing to do that. Yeah.
So
Doesn't that mean we have to disapply proportionality?
Chair, can I propose that we disapply proportionality to the Audit and Governance Committee for this evening only? I'll look for a seconder for that.
Is there a seconder? Okay. In that case, we move to the vote as to whether or not to disapply political proportionality from the Audit and Governance Committee.
All those in favour, please raise.
Any against?
Moving on.
Right.
Memo.
So alternative arrangements have been agreed, and thank you, Councillor Brodie. Children's Services, Education and Skills Committee, there's a deletion from the Alliance Group from Councillor Paul Fuller is removed. That's just the numbers. There's still a gap in for a non-aligned substitute. So unless anyone else wants to volunteer as a non-aligned member as a substitute. Nope. Economy, Regeneration, Transport, Infrastructure Committee. Councillor Fuller is removed from that committee because of the numbers, and he becomes a substitute in that the ERTI committee, and also Councillor Lucioni and Councillor Ian Stevens are deleted from that. So the substitutes, just to clarify, Councillor M. Jeffries and Councillor Paul Fuller. No nominations from the Reform Group. Moving to the next committee.
Press on, press on.
Okay.
Go on.
Environment Community Protection Committee, there's a vacancy for non-aligned councillor. Substitute remains the same as written. Harbour Committee, councillor Karloff has been put forward to be a member of that Harbour Committee. No substitute has been put forward. Investigating and Disciplinary Committee, councillor Ian Stevens is removed, and councillor Luciani is removed as substitute, otherwise it's as written.
Chair, point out an anomaly here. Councillor Phil Jordan's been put down as a substitute, despite it being stated that the membership can only be councillors who are not members of the Appointments and Employment Committee.
So which,
For investigating.
okay, thank you, thank you. Right.
Just deleting for the minute. Move on.
Okay, okay. If you're happy, that's fine.
You're removed, Phil.
If you're happy with it.
Yeah, I'm very happy.
Licensing Committee is as written. Pension Fund Committee is vacant in terms of non-aligned, otherwise it's as written. Planning Committee, non-aligned, vacant. Councillor Karloff is substitute. So again, need to sort of work that all through.
Put me in, put me
in. Okay, so you move to be a member of planning, okay? Going back to the Planning Committee, Councillor Richardson is removed from the Planning Committee, otherwise it's as stated.
Sorry, Chair, did you put Carl in as planning, but he's already the reserve?
Yeah, he just moved over. He's just moved over. But thank you for the clarification. And the final one, PFR, Policy, Finance and Resources Committee, Carl Love is appointed as a permanent member and there's no substitute. And that concludes that item of business. If members can.
All in favour?
Opposed, seconded through.
Any against? Any abstentions? It's been an interesting year. Thank you very much and good night. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Well done, monitoring officer, for getting through that.